Hello and welcome to the session on Adolescence. The term adolescence comes from the Latin word adolescere, means to grow or to grow maturity. The term adolescence has a broader meaning. It includes mental, emotional and social maturity as well as physical maturity. This point of view has been expressed by Piaget when he said, psychologically, adolescence is the age when the individual becomes integrated into the society of adults, the age when the child no longer feels that he is below the level of his elders but equal, at least in rights. This integration into adult society has many affective aspects, more or less linked with puberty. It also includes very profound intellectual changes. These intellectual transformations, typical of the adolescent's thinking, enable him not only to achieve his integration into the social relationships of adults, which is in fact the most general characteristic of this period of development. Early adolescence from 12 to 14 years. Early adolescence is a contradictory phase. It is a phase when the child is not yet mature and at the same time she is no longer a child. They insist that they have grown up enough to be independent while parents do not provide them much freedom. This is the time the youngster finds the drastic physical changes as a source of irritation. Some who are physically not well grown feel somewhat inferior to others. There is a fear that they may remain short and small and become the target of ridicule of the peers. There is a lot of confusion, hesitation and a search for one's own real identity. This arises due to the fact that though physically they look like an adult, mentally they are still children. Parents and elders treat them at one time as a grown-up and at other time as a child. This causes problems in identity as to who am I and what am I, etc. Adolescence is a time when all of a sudden the world starts looking different. The youngster faces considerable competition. The sheer innocence of friendship is lost. Several new kinds of fantasies beyond the fun start taking a toll on the mind of the youngster. This is a time when the individual needs understanding parents. This is the time in their life when they start thinking about their future. Middle adolescence from 14 to 17 years. Middle adolescence is a phase when a child is on the road to transformation. There are lots of changes that occur, be it physical, mental, cognitive or sexual. While most of the girls cross their puberty stage, boys are still on the road of maturing physically. It is that time of life when the young individual is most concerned about one's look, body and appearance. Middle adolescence is a time when the teenagers are developing their unique personality and opinions. Friends play a pivotal role during these years. Young teenagers take great care to maintain their identity in the peer group. Competitiveness also becomes a major priority in the life of middle teens. Many of them try to analyze the experiences they are going through and try to understand their inner turbulence by writing diaries and journals. Remember, middle teens are more capable of setting goals. However, the goals they set are often too high and as a result are unable to reach the goal and feel frustrated and disappointed. Withdrawal from the parents is also one of the key characteristics found in children of this age. That is, they reduce their dependency on their parents and try to take decisions for themselves. Late adolescence from 17 to 19 years. A late adolescent is closer to adulthood and the youngster develops a firm identity and more stable interests. Soon to be adults, they attain greater emotional stability and have a more developed sense of humor. They are able to delay their gratifications of their desires and are able to think ideas through. They learn to express their feelings in words, compromise and make independent decisions. Unlike the earlier stages of childhood, late adolescents show greater concern for others. They become more self-reliant and take pride in their work. They start finalizing their thoughts about their role they want to play in their lives and become more concerned about their future. Physical development. Adolescence is characterized by dramatic physical changes, moving the individual from childhood into physical maturity. Teenagers experience some physical milestones as they move from childhood to adolescence. Normal growth during adolescence includes both an increase in body size and sexual maturation. The timing and the speed with which these changes occur vary and are affected by both heredity and environment. During adolescence, boys and girls reach adult height and weight. Early prepubescent changes are noted with the appearance of secondary sexual characteristics. Adolescence is a time for growth spurts and pubertal changes. An adolescent may grow several inches in several months, followed by a period of very slow growth and then have another growth spurt. Changes with puberty may occur gradually, or several signs may become visible at the same time. There is a great amount of variation in the rate of changes that may occur. Some adolescents may experience these signs of maturity sooner and later than others. It is important to remember that these changes happen at different times for everyone. Being smaller or bigger than other girls or boys is normal, as each child experiences puberty at his or her own time. Sexual and other physical maturation occurs during puberty results from hormonal changes. As the adolescent nears puberty, the pituitary gland increases the secretion of a hormone called follicle stimulating hormone, or FSH. This hormone then causes additional effects. In girls, FSH activates the ovaries to start producing estrogen. In boys, FSH causes sperm to develop. The following are the average ages when puberty changes may occur. For adolescent males, height 4 to 12 inches, age of puberty is 9.5 to 14 years. First pubertal changes. Enlargement of testicles. Penis enlargement begins approximately 1 year after the testicles begin enlarging. Appearance of pubic hair 13.5 years of age. Hair under the arms on the face, voice change 15 years of age. Nocturnal emissions or wet dreams 14 years of age. In boys, it is difficult to know exactly when he has reached puberty. There are changes that occur, but they occur gradually over a period of time rather than as a single event. The following are additional changes that may occur for the male as he experiences changes of puberty. His body size will increase, with the feet, arms, legs and arms sometimes growing faster than the rest of the body. This may cause the adolescent boy to experience a feeling of clumsiness. Some boys may get some swelling in the area of their breast as a result of the hormonal changes that are occurring. This is common among teenage boys and is usually a temporary condition. Voice changes may occur as the voice gets deeper. Sometimes the voice may crack during this time. This is temporary condition and will improve over time. Not only will hair begin to grow in the genital area, but males will also experience hair growth on their face, under their arms and on their legs. As the hormones of puberty increase, adolescents may experience an increase in oily skin and sweating. This is a normal part of growing. It is important to wash daily, including the face. As the penis enlarges, the adolescent male may begin to experience erections. This is when the penis becomes hard and erect because it is filled with blood. This is due to hormonal changes and may occur when the boy fantasizes about sexual things or for no reason at all. This is a normal occurrence. During puberty, the male sex organs begin producing sperm. Semen, which is composed of sperm and other bodily fluids, may be released during an erection. This is called ejaculation. Sometimes this may happen while the male is sleeping. This is called nocturnal emissions or wet dreams. This is a common part of puberty and will stop as the male gets older. Adolescent females. Height may increase 2 to 10 inches. Age of puberty is from 8 to 13 years of age. First pubertal changes, breast development. Pubic hair development happens shortly after breast development. Hair under the arms appears in 12 years of age. Menstrual periods from 10 to 16.5 years of age. Girls experience puberty as a sequence of events, but their pubertal changes usually begin before boys of the same age. Each girl is different and may progress through these changes differently. The following are additional changes that may occur for the females as she experiences the changes of puberty. There may be an increase in hair growth, not only the pubic area, but also under the arms and on the legs. The female's body shape will also begin to change. There may be not only an increase in height and weight, but the hips may get wider. There may also be an increase in fat in the buttocks, legs and stomach. These are normal changes that may occur during puberty. Her body size will increase with the feet, arms, legs and hands beginning to grow in advance of the body. This may cause the adolescent girl to experience a time of feeling clumsy. As the hormones of puberty increase, adolescents may experience an increase in oily skin and sweating. Adolescent girls will also experience menstruation or menstrual periods. This begins when the body releases an egg from the ovaries. If the egg is fertilized with a sperm from a male, it will grow into a baby inside the uterus. If the egg is not fertilized, the endometrial lining of the uterus is not needed and is shed through the vagina as fluid. The fluids are bloody and are usually released monthly. After a girl begins to menstruate, she is able to get pregnant. Emotionality and social changes. Emotionality during adolescence. Traditionally, adolescence has been thought of as a period of stress and storm, a time of heightened emotional tension resulting from the physical and glandular changes that are taking place. While it is true that growth continues through the early years of adolescence, it does so at a progressively slower rate. What growth is taking place is primarily a completion of the pattern already set at puberty. It is necessary, therefore, to look for other explanations of the emotional tension so characteristic of this age. The explanations are to be found in the social conditions that surround the adolescent of today. Adolescent emotionality can be attributed mainly to the fact that boys and girls come under social pressures and face new conditions for which they received little preparation during childhood. Most of them do experience emotional instability from time to time, which is a logical consequence of the necessity of making adjustments to new patterns of behavior and to new social expectations. For example, problems related to romance are very real at this time. While the romance is moving smoothly, adolescents are happy, but they become despondent when things begin to go wrong. While adolescent emotions are often intense, uncontrolled and seemingly irrational, there is generally an improvement in emotional behavior with each passing year. 14-year-olds are often irritable, are easily excited and explode emotionally instead of trying to control their feelings. 16-year-olds, by contrast, say they don't believe in worrying. Thus, the storm and stress of this period lessens as early adolescence draws to a close. Instead of having temper tantrums, however, Adolescents express their anger by sulking, refusing to speak, or loudly criticizing those who angered them. Adolescents also become envious those with more material possessions. While they may not complain and feel sorry for themselves as children do, they are likely to take a part-time job to earn money for the material possessions they crave, or even drop out of school to get these things. To achieve emotional maturity, adolescents must learn to get a perspective on situations which otherwise would lead to emotional reactions. They can do this best by discussing their problems with others. Their willingness to disclose their attitudes, feelings, and personal problems is influenced partly by how secure they feel in their social relationships, partly by how much they like the target person. If adolescents are to achieve emotional maturity, they must learn to use emotional catharsis to clear their systems of pent-up emotional energy. This they can do by strenuous physical exercise, in play or work, by laughing or by crying. Social changes during adolescence. One of the most difficult developmental tasks of adolescence relates to social adjustments. These adjustments must be made to members of the opposite sex in a relationship that never existed before, and to adults outside the family and school environments. Because of the increased peer group influence, adolescents spend most of their time outside the home with members of the peer group. It is understandable that peers would have a greater influence on adolescent attitudes, speech, interest, appearance, and behavior than the family has. Most adolescents, for example, discover that if they wear the same type of clothes as popular group members wear, their chances of acceptance are enhanced. Similarly, if members of the peer group experiment with alcohol, drugs, or tobacco, adolescents are likely to do the same, regardless of how they feel about these matters. Peer group is a major recreational outlet of the teenager. For all these reasons, it would seem of vital importance to the adolescent that his peer group contain a certain number of friends who can accept him and upon whom he can depend. The gangs of childhood gradually break up at puberty, and during early adolescence, as the individual's interests shift from the strenuous play activities of childhood to the less strenuous and more formal social activities of adolescence. In their place come new social groupings. The social groupings for boys, as a rule, are larger and more loosely knit, while those of girls are smaller and more sharply defined. Important characteristics of adolescence. Adolescence is an important period. While all periods in the lifespan are important, some are more important than others because of their immediate effects on attitudes and behavior, whereas others are significant because of their long-term effects. Adolescence is one of the periods when both the immediate effects and long-term effects are important. Some periods are important for their physical and some for their psychological effects. Adolescence is important for both. Accompanying these rapid and important physical developments, especially during the early adolescent period, rapid mental developments occur. These give rise to the need for mental adjustments and the necessity for establishing new attitudes, values, and interests. Adolescence is a transitional period. Transition does not mean a break with or change from what has gone before, but rather a passage from one stage of development to another. This means that what has happened before will leave its mark on what happens now and in the future. Children, when they go from childhood to adulthood, must put away childish things, and they must also learn new patterns of behavior and attitudes to replace those they have abandoned. However, it is important to realize that what happened earlier has left its mark and will influence these new patterns of behavior and attitudes. During any transitional period, the individual status is vague and there is confusion about the roles the individual is expected to play. The adolescent at this time is neither a child nor an adult. If adolescents behave like children, they are told to act their age. If they try to act like an adult, they are often accused of being too big for their britches and are reproved for their attempts to act like adults. Adolescence is a period of change. The rate of change in attitudes and behavior during adolescence parallels the rate of physical change. During early adolescence, when physical changes are rapid, changes in attitudes and behavior are also rapid. As physical changes slow down, so do attitudinal and behavioral changes. There are 5 almost universal concomitants of the changes that occur during adolescence. The first is heightened emotionality, the intensity of which depends on the rate at which the physical and psychological changes are taking place. Because these changes normally occur more rapidly during early adolescence, heightened emotionality is generally more pronounced in early than in late adolescence. Second, the rapid changes that accompany sexual maturing make young adolescents unsure of themselves, of their capacities, and of their interests. They have strong feelings of instability, which are often intensified by the ambiguous treatment they receive from parents and teachers. Third, changes in their bodies, their interests, and in the roles the social group expects them to play create new problems. To young adolescents, these may seem more numerous and less easily solved than any they have had to face before. Until they have solved their problems to their satisfaction, they will be preoccupied with them and with themselves. Fourth, as interest and behavior patterns change, so do values. What was important to them as children seems less important to them now that they are near adults. For example, most adolescents no longer think that a large number of friends are a more important indication of popularity than friends of the type that are admired and respected by their peers. They now recognize quality as more important than quantity. Fifth, most adolescents are ambivalent about changes. While they want and demand independence, they often dread the responsibilities that go with independence and question their ability to cope with these responsibilities. Adolescence is a problem age. While every age has its problems, those of adolescence are often especially difficult for boys and girls to cope with. There are 2 reasons for this. First, throughout childhood, their problems were met and solved, in part at least, by parents and teachers. As a result, many adolescents are experienced in coping with problems alone. Second, because adolescents want to feel that they are independent, they demand the right of coping with their own problems, rebuffing attempts on the part of parents and teachers to help them. Period of identity crisis. Adolescence is a time of search for identity. It is known to be a period of explanatory self-analysis and self-evaluation, ideally culminating in the establishment of a cohesive and integrative sense of self or identity. This process involves the exploration and testing of alternative ideas, beliefs, and behaviors, marking this period as one of both dramatic change and uncertainty. Erikson provided perhaps the most widely recognized theoretical framework for conceptualizing the transformation of the self during adolescence. This provides for the development of a sense of one's individuality, that is, self-awareness and continuity with significant others. Erik Erikson was the first major psychological theorist to develop the notion of an adolescent identity crisis. In his view, all of the earlier crystallizations of identity formed during childhood come into question during adolescence with the overwhelming combination of physical changes, increased sex drive, expanded mental abilities, and increasing and conflicting social demands. To develop a sense of identity amidst the confusion, Erikson stated, in Identity, Youth and Crisis that adolescents need to try on a variety of roles and must often test extremes before settling on a considered course. At this stage, adolescents often reject their parents and all that they stand for so that they can make a clean break from childhood as they attempt to form an identity of their own. Now you can try to answer the questions. What are the physical changes that occur during adolescence in both boys and girls separately? Explain identity crisis in adolescence. How can it be resolved? What are the emotional challenges faced by adolescents? What are the important social changes during adolescence? Why does the period of adolescence regarded as a period of storm and stress? What are the important characteristics of adolescence? How does Erikson elucidate the concept of identity crisis? Hope that you may go through the reference books given here. Adolescent, emotional, behavioral and cognitive development from early adolescence through the teen years. Pruitt DMD, Harper Paperbacks, New York in the year 2000. Developmental Psychology, A Lifespan Approach by E.B. Hurlock, Tata McGraw-Hill Publishing Company Limited, New Delhi in the year 1997. Child and Adolescent Development for Educators by J.L. Meese, McGraw-Hill College, USA in the year 2004. Thank you for watching this program. We can meet again with another topic. Till then, take care.